Before we sat down a little bit earlier, you had an assumption about how I would feel about Godfather Part 3.
Oh yeah, I did.
What was it?
I thought maybe you were gonna get distracted by those universally agreed flaws and then take it to the bank and just completely dismiss the whole film. I, to this day, don't think the whole film deserves to get dismissed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you think I'm gonna come off now?
I think you're gonna agree with me.
The thought in the previous video that we did on Part 2, I had a what if the third film I liked the most out of the trilogy of Godfather. And I didn't think it would happen, but it turns out that yes, the third film I liked the most out of them.
Interesting. How fun. Yay!
And there was much rejoicing.
This is fun. We get to give some kind of fun, mind-opening stuff for the audience. Yay!
I think that film, I've said it in comments that I've looked in on videos and I get recommended videos because I watch one video, yada, yada. I said this film is underrated and is unnecessarily criticized.
I agree with you. I think people are followers. People jump on the bandwagon.
I think it's incredibly unfortunate that it's maligned and it doesn't make sense to me. Because the trajectory of Michael Corleone in the third film lines up with the storyline of the previous films.
It does.
You know what, dude? People forget that Michael becomes more like his dad, Vito, Marlon Brando's character, in the third film.
It's true.
I mean, what people were expecting that this third film would be him playing against his enemies, making deals and blah, blah, blah. He's cold, he's calculating, just like in the second film. And that's not it. Because you know what happens at the end of the second film is you have that shot sitting in a chair and he's just alone.
Mm-hmm.
They try to hit home a message about his character and his choices that doesn't excel or succeed as well as the third film does. The third film puts the punctuation of what the second film was trying to do with its ending. And people miss that for some reason.
That's true.
Well, I think the reason is because they wanted a crime movie in the vein of the previous ones, and that's just not, that wouldn't have worked. You want a series that's just gonna continue to glorify crime. This is why I latched on to the movie more so than I thought I was, because the character is trying to atone for the sins of his past. And one, that's an empathetic place to put the character that I can get on board with. And I thought I might, and sure enough, I did. There's this other commentary in the film that criticizes the Catholic Church. And rightfully so, because the Catholic Church is rife with controversy and corruption that people don't want to talk about. The events of this film are based on true events from the early 1980s. The character that gets hung at the end, who's part of the scandal and the money laundering, that actually happened.
Well, the Italian culture, man, that's a part of their culture is Roman Catholicism. Of course he incorporated that into the part 3. It's very clever, very clever.
But it's
Making
very
the mafia, the
accurate.
high-ups of the Roman Catholic Church is like its own mafia. You know what I mean? It goes hand in hand.
This goes back hundreds of years. I want you audience to know this, and maybe you know this or not, that there's a term called indulgences, a practice where believers paid money to shorten their or loved one's time in purgatory. Catholicism used fear of purgatory to extort money from the faithful. The most notorious figure tied to this practice, his name was Johann Tetzel. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly. He was a friar who used the sale of indulgences to manipulate people and extract money from them. And this sparked Martin Luther, his 95 Theses in 1517. This goes all the way back 500 years that the Catholic Church has exemplified a corruption within that organization. And look, I know people that are Catholic that are good people, but that doesn't malign them. I'm talking about the organization of the Vatican. And this film, Godfather 3, puts a spotlight on that. And I really appreciated it. I really appreciated the ballsiness. That's a quote from you. the ballsiness of Godfather 3. It has to do with an organization where its motivation is money. And the Bible verse says that money, the love of money, not just money, but the love of money is the root of all evil. Having money is not a problem. The love of money is the root of all evil. This is what Godfather 3 shows. And I really appreciated that.
I love how Michael, since he's taken over the steering wheel of the family organization, crime family, he's made it his life mission to legitimize the Corleone empire. He's stepping out of a life of crime and criminal entities, and he's thinking he's stepping into something that's not that. He's stepping into something that's even more perverse and twisted because they wear the disguise, they guise themselves with holiness. I'm more creeped out by these guys guised as holy men.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it makes it even more because it's like they truly are wolves in sheep clothing. They truly are.
Said.
It's crazy.
You have no idea.
Something that doesn't get talked about is how beautiful visually the film is. It might potentially be the most beautiful of the 3 films. I like the fact the second half of the movie takes place in Italy. So cool, dude.
Okay, all right.
So cool.
So you may not know this, and you may not know this. Dude,
What the hell are you doing?
because of the commentary, and I sought after this commentary, I had to find it because it's not readily available. Some online people, they post commentaries from filmmakers. The third one is the only one out of the 3 that is not available online. So I had to seek out a physical copy.
Really?
I learned that when they go to Sicily, Coppola specifically and intentionally set up visual callbacks, not dialogue, there are some, but visual callbacks to the previous films. Did you know that in the courtyard of when Kay and Michael are walking towards the church steps and that random couple is getting married, there's a donkey that walks past them? That is the exact same pathway that a donkey walked past in the flashback in part 2,
Very cool.
where Vito is being smuggled out.
I love that.
He did that. Another one. Michael and Kay are at an estate. They go into a room and he opens a window. Kay is standing in the exact same position that Apollonia was in when they had their honeymoon night.
I love that.
It's never said. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't listened to the commentary. But those callbacks, they were subtle. Coppola wasn't haughty about it. He actually phrased it in a way of maybe a director might do something such as this or something. He was being coy, which was playful, and I really liked that aspect of him. The callback to Apollonia also, I really appreciated it as well, where you see the pictures of her, Michael talks about her.
And I like how he shares it with his children in a very, because that's a very realistic scenario for him to bring up such a painful memory. His adult children, whom he clearly loves to the moon and back. You can just tell he adores his children. I love them being like, tell us what happened, Dad. You know, and him just talking about it. It's just beautiful. And the scene when his son starts singing that song in Italian, oh my gosh, it almost makes you want to start crying. And then Michael's just sitting there and he's just flooded with emotion. He's flooded with flashbacks, and he's also flooded with, oh my God, my son is a generational talent. He really is, though. You hear that his son wants to be an opera singer. Okay, and then you see him, oh, actually, he's a brilliant performer. And what a fun way to write his character in the film. I'm telling you, everyone felt the movie needed to do this with the characters, did this with the storyline, and Coppola's like, whatever, I'm gonna do my own thing. They did this and this and this and this and that and this and this. And bro, how freaking fascinating and how cool is him taking Vincent, the bastard child of Sonny, off the streets, and he's so raw and he's so much like his dad. He's so much like his dad. You know, when he comes into the room and when
Joey Zaza.
Zaza's in there, when he comes in there, he like grabs his nuts while he's looking at him. Dude, it's so just, don't worry about him. Uncle Mike, I got this. Right? And I love freaking, I don't know if he improvised that or if it was in the script, but it's some of the most genius writing. It's very subtle. He's just, tempered just like his dad. Oh yeah, this is my brother's offspring.
Yeah. No, and it works. And you have a trajectory of that character, Vincent, that has a dynamism to it. He comes off very hot-blooded and quick to temper. Throughout the movie, he learns to have self-control. And you have about half a dozen amazing, dare I say, iconic lines from this movie, more so than the other ones. Yeah, in the first film you have, I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse, take the cannoli, maybe one other you can think of. But this film has a few lines that I just wanna run through with you, and I'll probably put in the clips, is never hate your enemies.
It affects your judgment.
Another is when Vincent says, I say we take Zaza out! And then Michael says, he whispers into his ear, never let anyone know what you're thinking. All right? And
We're literally watching him mentor him.
yeah, and then we have another one that says, oh, it's in the same scene. So you have two lines that are pretty amazing in one scene. This is the most famous one is,
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
they pull me back in.
With his teeth, he clenches his teeth.
Yes.
Yeah, they referred that on The Sopranos. All of Tony Soprano's boys are just standing there all like taking turns quoting that.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah. And then from there, you have when he's in the hospital after they kill Joey Zaza, Vincent, Connie, and
Neri.
Neri.
Al Nero.
Al
Neri.
Neri.
Gosh,
Al
dang it.
Neri.
Yeah.
all three of them, they plot to kill Zaza, and they do. And Michael says,
I command this family. It was not what I wanted!
it's great. And
Right or wrong.
yeah. And then you have the scene when Vincent is letting go of Mary and telling her that he can't be with her. Love somebody else. Another great line.
It's actually pretty sad. Even though it's kind of weird that it's incestual, they still sell that they genuinely are in love. So it is a sad scene. There is a semblance because she has such an innocence about her, you know. And then Andy Garcia was incredible in the movie. He was so freaking good.
Dude,
so
he
charismatic.
Is an amalgamation of Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. There are some shots in this movie where he looks as De Niro and Pacino did when they were younger. It was a great casting.
It was a great casting. When they were talking to him about the role, to prepare for the role, okay, your character is gonna have Sonny's temper, his passion, he's gonna have Fredo's warmth, and he's gonna have Michael's cunning. And I just think that is so cool. That is so freaking cool how they did that. And I love his relationship with his Aunt Connie. She's like, there's my nephew. He's like, hi, Aunt Connie.
Who's your favorite aunt?
You are.
Oh, the scene when he passes the torch to Vincent. I thought that was a cool scene.
The criticism that people talk about is that it's done so quickly and not as ceremoniously, et cetera, et cetera.
They're not paying attention to the storyline. They're not paying attention to the subtext with Michael. Because I was watching a thing on it and they talk about, he's like, Michael literally just got to a point where he was done dealing with the situation.
That's the reason that it's semi-rushed, is because he wants the fuck out. He is
for
done
good
with
reason.
This. He doesn't want this anymore because it's all climbing up to him, and it has been for years, and he's been trying and trying to atone for his sins, even to the point where he's giving to a corrupt organization, i.e. the Vatican. He gives $600 million to their pot that they're eventually going to swindle. He's doing it not because of trying to help the Vatican and he believes it. He's trying to do it for, well, let's face it, selfish reasons, but for virtuous reasons of trying to atone for his sins.
Your whole past history and the history of your family will be washed away.
Another commentary in line with that this movie doesn't say at all, but I extract from it, is that this is an example of a man who is trying to get forgiveness and atonement from other men without going to who he should be, Christ, because he is the one that is only capable of forgiveness for his sins. Even though Lamberto the Cardinal is a good man and they eventually assassinate him, he becomes the Pope, he's not the one that Michael needs to go to for forgiveness. He can go to him for some counsel and confession, and he does, and that's
It's a really beautiful
scene. The moving scene.
It's a very beautiful scene.
He's the only one that we know he has full on confessed that he is the one who murdered Fredo. he thinks that he's still not able to be forgiven for it. Why? Even though he confessed to a priest, and that's the way to go in the Catholic Church. Well, then the question comes up is, why would he still feel that way? There's this subtle subtext and implication that it has to be through Christ. It's not through a priest that he needs to get redemption from. And because he doesn't seek that out, because he doesn't do something as simple as praying to him, because he doesn't do that, the tragedy unfolds. Now, whether or not he had done that, bad things can still happen even though someone might get redemption from Christ. Okay, it's the reality of a fallen world that we live in. But I think that there's this, whether it be intentional from Coppola or not, that's what I extracted from this movie, and I really, really appreciated it.
The vindication that he's seeking is actually very empty. He's like in another den of vipers, essentially.
Oh, he says that. In the scene with the head honchos of the Vatican Bank, Lucchesi tells him to his face, even though he doesn't realize it, he's throwing back the line that Michael said in the first film.
It's not personal. It's only business. You should know, Godfather.
Oh, and Michael reacts to that line, and he does. He calls them vipers, and he fucking walks out because he gets what he was thrown back in his face. And does he like it? Hell no, because he now faces the same menace that he was as a young man.
Mm-hmm. It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
I don't understand how this is lost on people, that
powerful,
they don't
dude.
appreciate this stuff.
Yeah, it's deep. They're dealing with dimensions of storyline and things in our history and in culture and stuff that, mainstream audiences just weren't prepared for it. People are like, I don't want to see Michael trying to be a good dude.
Right.
I love how the movie really emphasizes that opera scene. In the movie itself, I feel like the most operatic of the three. That final scene when his daughter gets shot, to me, it's one of the most tragic moments in cinema history that people don't talk about enough, when he's on the steps and he's screaming from the utter depths of his soul. It's like it's coming from this place, this just deep place, man, and he's just screaming. It's very operatic. It really is.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm in complete agreement with you, even more so, and beyond it. I found that moment, the subtle classical music after Mary dies, Al Pacino's performance of wailing to the heavens, and the choice of Coppola and the editor to mute out the first part of his scream, and you only hear the music, and the reactions to the other people on those stairs. Is utterly powerful, and then unexpectedly the scream comes in for his next portion of the scream. He inhales and lets it out, and it comes back in unexpectedly. I think that sequence is masterfully directed and is more powerful than any other scene in the previous films. I think it's profound. I think Diane Keaton's screams and wails are disturbing and grief-strickening.
Mom, come on.
It's amazing, that performance.
It is amazing.
I don't understand how people didn't appreciate that. It's lost on me that people didn't appreciate that. I've watched it more times, 5 or so times, over the last few weeks. I've been studying the third film. I've come back to it.
You're like fanboying over the third film.
Yes.
It's funny, I've never seen you fanboy over a film. It's fun, like you're very much fanboying over it. And you know what, I'm all for it. I heard somebody say it. I forget who it was. It's somebody in the film industry. And I think it was somebody well-known. I'm not really sure exactly, but they said that scene is some of the most crazy acting I've ever seen.
Now, I speak as someone who has lost both his parents. So when I tell you that the grief in this scene is an utter prominence of authenticity and conveyance of what they were trying to do, I mean it. It's so well done. And I just don't understand why people malign this film. I think, I go back, like people wanted the bloodthirsty crime movie. Goodfellas came out around that time. Scorsese was hot and all that stuff. People wanted Coppola to do what Scorsese was doing and continue the trend of what the previous films did. But that is not the place that Coppola was in his life. If you didn't know, in the 80s, Coppola's son died in a boating accident.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So when you see Mary dying, he's working through grief, making this film. Yeah.
And and Coppola's a man that deeply loves his family.
Now, we can talk about Sophia Coppola as Mary for a moment. How do you feel about her performance?
I don't think it's that she's bad. I just don't think she's nearly as charismatic of a screen presence that Winona Ryder would have been. Now, Winona Ryder originally was going to play it, but she got sick. She got worn out because that was the time when she was any Hollywood it girl is going to be getting overworked. So it makes sense that she dropped out.
There's a suspicion that she may have been doing drugs, folks, so.
Oh, well. Can I tell you that Sophia, I almost feel like she plays herself in the role. I feel like that's how she treated her dad in real life, with such reverence and loves her dad. She's a little daddy's girl. I feel like she pretty much played herself in the film.
Okay.
I do.
I think that she does better than what Winona Ryder would have done. The way that Sophia Coppola plays this, if you go with it and take away expectations of how the role should be, she plays it as this 17, 18-year-old young woman who's very meek. She's not this bombshell confident woman. She is uninitiated in this world, and it's more realistic to see an actress who's soft-spoken, uncomfortable in situations, and people were responding to that in critiques and in the reviews of she's out of her league, she doesn't know what she's doing. When you look at the film in that way of this is someone who is not comfortable as the character isn't comfortable, you know? When she's talking to Vincent, her cousin, we can talk about the inappropriateness of the incestuous relationship, but even Coppola in the commentary mentioned how there's a history to the Italian lineage that has incestuous relationships, so it's realistic.
And I've picked up on that. And that's how is a part of their history. It's a part of their history.
It is, but and additionally, I had a conversation with my surrogate grandmother. She watched me grow up next to my house. Later on in life, a few years ago, I had a conversation with her. She said that occurrences such as that happen more often than people talk about.
In general or Italian family?
No, in general.
Oh, ancestral.
Outside of Italians, in general. And she died a few years ago at 98 years old. So yeah, she had a few, life lessons and experiences. She's seen some things. She was English. And I had that conversation with her, and she mentioned how this actually happens more often than people talk about. Because why would you? You wouldn't talk about that, because there's a shame to it, attached to it. Even the movie says it's dangerous, okay? So I didn't have as much of a problem with the relationship between Vincent and Mary. I didn't like it. But
it's
I'm
realistic.
not supposed to like it. I'm not supposed to like it.
And they make it in the movie where not everyone's like, oh, how cute.
Yeah, no one's supporting them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's an excellent point, Kyle. Yeah. That's an excellent point.
And he's a cavalier character, and she's a young woman who's very impressionable, who's always had a crush on this guy to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's not an aspect of Coppola saying, get on board with this. This is Jack and Rose from Titanic. Look at this amazing romance, audience. It's not that at all. It's this dysfunctional fucking family, and it's in line with the rest of the series. People, again, seem to forget that this family is very fucking dysfunctional. They're a crime family. And so for them, the audience at the time when it came out, and some people probably today, they balk at the idea that, oh my God, they're cousins that fell in love? That's your qualm? People shooting people in the face and betraying each other, et cetera, et cetera. You have no problem with that. You don't write your reviews and saying how disturbed you were by that, but an incestuous relationship is a problem.
A woman having sex with a fish humanoid creature. They give that best picture, yet it's a good point. It's a good point.
Was there something else about the incestuous relationship you would want to add?
Nope.
It is a little weird though that
it's weird that they of all the things that come up with, they come up with that. But then but like you said, if you understand that culture and then how big those families are and all that, it makes sense that it would happen. And it's like something like that would easily happen in such a broken situation. Because Vincent comes from brokenness, Mary's coming from brokenness with her parents. You know what I mean? It makes sense.
She's seeking after a masculine figure, similar to her semi-absentee father.
Well,
there's been 16 years that have passed, around 16 years within the narrative of the story. That we don't know necessarily how their relationship has been over that time, Michael with his daughter. So the idea that she has daddy issues is probably likely, which would contribute to her falling in love with Vincent.
But he does have a much better relationship with Mary than he does Anthony.
Agreed.
But a scene that I've always appreciated, even since I was younger, I love the dialogue. Love the dialogue. This very realistic dialogue. When he sits down, Vincent, listen, like my brother, he had such a temper. You gotta watch that temper, just like my brother. And he goes,
he too had a way with women. Vincent, so I hear. What are you doing with my daughter?
The one criticism that I can put towards the movie is Michael doesn't have enough of a problem with their relationship. He's very lackadaisical when it comes to that. I mean, he has the scenes of him saying, "It is not what I wanted," and he doesn't have an outburst when it comes to Vincent courting his daughter. So I think they could have used a scene in which he got upset at Vincent and they had a clash there, but it would still resolve in Michael saying, if you want to be the Don, give up my daughter. That still works. It would have been better if he had an outburst at some point instead of being so soft-spoken and casual about their relationship. I think that's a missing link that could have been in the movie.
The way he handles it, he talks quiet, but he carries a big stick. Because that sequence, I really like that dialogue. It's his final test for Vincent, that before he brings Vincent on and become heir to the throne, essentially, is he gives them that final test, and it's like a very strong test of loyalty and obedience. He's giving Vincent this assignment to infiltrate the bad guys, but he's also at the same time subtextually warning him. He goes, you tell them that you're unhappy, that you want to run off with Mary, and that, of course, if you did such a thing, you become my enemy. Thought that is a good scene, because he's shaving him, you know what I'm saying? He's shaving.
It's showing that he trusts Vincent.
Oh, yeah.
With a fucking razor on his face.
That's kind of an icy cold warning coming from Michael Corleone. He goes, of course, if you did such a thing, you'd become my enemy. That's a very icy cold warning.
Hey. That is old Michael.
It is.
That's him coming through. People say, oh, he's not the Michael we knew, blah, blah, blah. He's still there. He's still there.
And even sending Vincent on that mission that's old Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting the upper hand of your enemies. That's what he's doing. He's instructing Vincent on how to do that.
Think like your enemy, man. You always want your enemy to underestimate you. You always want your enemy to think you're dumber than you are. It's one of the most valuable weapons. You have to swallow your pride, you have to swallow your ego, and you have to allow your enemy to weaken by being overestimating. It's David and Goliath, baby. It's literally the art of warfare. But that sequence after most of the commission gets wiped out by the helicopter, that whole dialogue of him just being like, Zaza is just muscle. He doesn't have the wit. He doesn't have the power to conduct such a thing. Clearly, He's not the one behind it. Someone else is more powerful. Someone else is pulling the strings, and it's just good old Corleone boss wisdom.
Why people have to stick up their ass about this movie? I don't understand.
It's different, man.
I'm repeating myself. I know they wanted the cold Michael, but there are shades of him that come out here still in the film.
And it makes it even more captivating. I think it's so interesting and so experimental and so cool what they did with the third one.
Dude, qualms people have with this movie, they seem to forget that Mario Puzo also wrote on this. He was in a creative position and he vetted this movie. So for them to hate on it means that they're hating the creative direction of Mario Puzo and Coppola, who both created the first two.
Mm-hmm.
They don't trust them then, that this was the right direction to go. To look at the movie, the third one, in an objective perspective, they're not. They're so stuck in the first and the second movie. If someone said, well, if they heard my sensibilities of, I only like watching a movie where I have a representative of someone trying to do good in and amongst evil, and then they say, well, then you're only gonna like the third, so just watch the third. No, you have to watch the first and the second to appreciate the third.
It's true.
You have to know where Michael has come from. You have to. Otherwise, you don't get the dramatic impact and finality of the third film.
As old as time itself, men that were a lot harder and meaner when they were young men, a lot of times very much loosen up and become more emotive as they get older. They just do. They become more expressive. Having grandchildren, just getting older, it just loosens men up.
Vito does that.
He did
He's
do that.
a different person from the flashbacks in the second.
Like him going
compared
around
to him being played by Marlon Brando in the first one.
I mean, even just like he's in the garden with his grandson and he puts that thing, he's like, dude, that's freaking silly. Very silly, but it's genius improv by Brando. But it makes sense, his character arc and the way he plays the part in that.
All right, so one thing I want to touch upon real quick. I watched the theatrical cut first and then the revised Coda version of 2020 that Coppola went back and did. Do you know the differences of those cuts?
Well, the big difference is the opening scene, it shows that conversation and it's a very crucial, it just kind of makes you wonder, like, why didn't they put that in the original?
No, it is in the original. It's later in the movie.
It is?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen the original Part 3 cut.
This is one instance in which I actually have more of a studied eye on the third film.
Which I love.
Okay.
I actually love.
So,
it's like you're getting to do more of the heavy lifting.
Yeah,
it feels good.
You did it for the first two.
I can kind of relax a little bit.
Right,
yeah,
nice. I have only seen the first and the second once.
It just shows you how much you liked it.
I've seen the third film kind of 3 or 4 times because I saw the theatrical version, I watched the commentary, and then I watched the Coda version. Solid 3 times, and gone back and watched clips.
Yeah.
So the difference between the theatrical and the Coda is that there are a few scenes that he excised, that he cut from the theatrical to make the Coda. It actually depletes the impact of the movie. The overall thought is that the theatrical cut is actually better than the Coda. I think the Coda is an inferior version. And one of the examples is at the very end. After the sequence of the grief-stricken moment after Mary dies, it fades from a wide shot to Michael dancing with Mary from the beginning of the movie. In the theatrical cut, it's different. In the Coda, he only shows that moment of them dancing together, and then it fades to a shot of the camera coming down. Michael's alone in his Sicily estate, and he just puts on his glasses, which, by the way, there's a fuck up continuity-wise because of this editing. Michael in the wide shot has his glasses on when the camera pans down. And the camera doesn't pan down in the theatrical cut. Camera pans down. He's sitting in his chair and he has his glasses on. And then it cuts to the close-up of Michael putting his glasses on. And he's kind of frail and all that stuff. And then it just fades out. Just fades out in the Coda version. In the theatrical cut, you go from the staircase sequence at the opera, it fades to Michael dancing with Mary, yes, and hard cuts to him dancing with Apollonia, and then decay. And then you go to the courtyard sequence in Sicily years later when he's old, of him putting on the glasses, cut to the wide shot of him sitting in the chair, and that's when he dies.
Yeah.
The whole point of him dying is to punctuate the lesson of the choices that you make will result in your final moments of how that comes out. The Coda version, for some reason, diminishes that to where, okay, so he's alone, but he's still alive and he's in purgatory, maybe. Maybe that's the metaphor. But the death of him being slumped over hits home more so than the Coda version. So there was no reason to go back and correct Godfather 3 when it came out. It was great the way that it came out. I've never heard anyone say that they say that the Coda version is an unnecessary version. I do. I think it's unnecessary. I don't recommend you watch it. Watch the theatrical cut, that's it. That's the definitive version. That's the one that works the most.
Love it.
It's more profound and it's more emotional in the end anyway, because you're seeing the juxtaposition of all these women that he's loved, that he's danced with. But in the Coda version, he's only dancing with Mary, just to emphasize that she died, and we're hearkening back to a memory that he had with her. Okay, great. But Apollonia is a character that throughout our discussions, I've called back to, because I really do think that she was unjustly treated. She was a character that was not emphasized enough. And to cut that out in the Coda version, the flashback of him dancing with her diminishes her character even more, and that's a detriment. I don't like that. And I had this what if about 3, and I said, the what if is Apollonia didn't die. What if she did become Michael's wife and move to America? Where would they be all the way to the 3rd film? Would she have gone back to Sicily, and that's when Michael meets up with her? What kind of conversations would have happened? And that would have been a relationship that would have had maybe even more emotionality, drama, and things to mine from if you had continued that relationship instead of killing her off and not having a conclusion to that plot. Because we don't talk about the deleted scenes where he kills Fabrizio, because we can't, because it's not included in the theatrical versions. There's no closure to the Apollonia storyline, and you could have had that if this what if had happened, if Diane Keaton's character had just gone away in the first film and it just became Apollonia was his wife the whole time.
Gotta read the book, man.
Oh, well, maybe.
Bro, the book is a bro, I plowed through the book. Plowed through it. It's an easy read, and it just puts in details that just will really get your gears going. You just get a firmer understanding of that world, and you'd be amazed what things bleed from the page onto the screen, and then things where you're like, that's fascinating, but I can see why they didn't put that into film.
You guys hit on some really great topics.
Oh yeah.
One of the best scenes in the film is the conversation that takes place between Kay and Michael in the Sicilian kitchen.
I love that scene.
It's amazing. The
I like
past history that they're dealing with is so realistic. I come from a dysfunctional family, and the conversation that takes place between them is just very relatable between the husband and wife.
Yeah.
When there is conflict that they're trying to resolve, and a lot of history there. It's very well done and very well acted, very well written. It's an excellent scene between them. And then the ending of that scene is her realizing that, even after everything he just said of him, I'm not the man that you think I am. Kahlo interrupts the conversation. He comes in, Kahlo says, come out here. I need revenge. We got to do something about it. He just got assassinated. And then Michael has this conversation out in the hall. Kay says, it never ends. So it just goes back to status quo. Like, all of that happened, and it's just nothing's going to get resolved, even though Michael said, I love you. Maybe he's trying to get her back. He's still involved, and he can't get out, even though he's trying to get out. They're pulling him back in. It's an underrated film, dude. It's a really underrated film. I hope that this video can contribute to some resurgence of appreciation for it.
I hope so too. At the end of the day, it's a very solid gangster film, and it's a very unique gangster film. It's like one of the most unique gangster films I think out there. Because of course you have the gangster elements, but there's just so much more going on.
Yes.
It's an opera. It's literally a cinematic opera. It's tragic, just like the first two, but it's tragic in a different kind of way. You're witnessing a different type of tragedy. Instead of witnessing a good man turn to evil, now you're witnessing a man trying to get away from the evil, but it's like, no matter how hard he tries, it's like, it's one of the coolest taglines in quotes on a poster, I think, ever. It's a picture of him doing this, and it says, even all the power in the world can't change destiny or fate or something like that, and it is the perfect tagline for that film.
I take more from this film than I did from the other two. Notable quotes, visuals, the Archbishop falling down the circular stairway right into camera.
It's a really cool shot.
Iconic shot. That light just went out, and so that's a good moment to conclude our discussion right there in Godfather 3. Yeah, and I highly recommend it. It's a very underrated film, so go and check that out. As well as the other two, because you have to watch the other two to appreciate the third, and that's what makes it a trilogy.
And a day of superheroes and people running around in spandex and CGI backgrounds galore. Do yourself a favor and get a vacation by going along with the Corleone family and their rise to power and fall from power.
You sound like a travel agent now. And that's it.
That's it. Good, bro. For the life of...
You just, yeah.